I've been in business for over 8+ years. In the first 2, I only made $2,000, and in the last 6, I've made over $115 million. And I've documented my entire journey from the start. Today, I want to share with you the 7 biggest lessons I learned from my entire business journey so you don't commit the same mistakes I did and make money much faster. Business is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-slow scheme. Let's be honest, we all started a business because we thought it was a way for us to get rich and become millionaires overnight. But the more we tried to build a business, the more we realized that it isn't true, and that's when we start to think about quitting business forever. Business owners are in the top 1% of income and make more money than lawyers, doctors, and scientists. And they also have the luxury of freedom, time, money, and location. So do you really think that you can really get there just by putting a little thought and effort into this? Look, everyone can start a business, but very few are actually making money. People hear me say I've done over $115 million over the last 6 years, but don't know that I only did $2,000 in my first 2 years. After my collegiate football career ended and I dropped out of school at 22 years old, I moved home to live in a small bedroom at my parents' house to try to get my business off the ground. And it was one of the hardest things I'd ever done in my life. My girlfriend left me because she didn't think I would succeed. Most of my family thought the same. I didn't date, I had a crappy car, I had no money, I was lower than I'd ever been. And contrast that with the fact that I was the high school captain on the football team, I had straight A's, and I played Division I football. So to go from that, big man on campus, to that, living at home, was very hard. And it really made me question who I was and if I was worth something. And during those unsuccessful years, I was still working as hard as ever, and that's what makes it so tough. When you are putting in all the hours, making all the effort, making all the sacrifices, and still getting nothing out of it, it's a hard pill to swallow. Imagine if I was going through all that and only putting in a half-ass effort. Do you think I would have finally broken through and made what I made today? Probably not. Can you imagine moving back home to your parents and being ashamed to date girls because you knew you'd have to tell them you lived with your mom and dad? Or not being able to go out with friends because you simply couldn't afford it? When you go to my IG, all you see are my wins. Me traveling the world, me buying stuff for my family, going out to fancy restaurants, and even buying a Lamborghini. What you don't see is the small, consistent wins that accumulated every single day for the past 6 years of my life. The endless nights when I was all alone in my parents' small room learning how to grow a business after working a 9-to-5 job. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and go all day until bedtime, hoping that one day my hard work would pay off. Now, most people have no idea what I go through on a day-to-day basis. Even today, I live more like a monk, but I work like I'm broke. But before you ever start a business and start learning about leads, sales, marketing, and fulfillment, you need to do this one important thing. If you do this thing, it will never matter what you try to learn because you will end up sabotaging yourself. That one thing is belief. You have to believe that you can do it and you can actually win. Believing is everything because your brain has the power to create and destroy. When you start to believe something, your brain will do everything in its power to help turn that belief into reality. So play the long game. You may not get there the first year or the second year or even the third year like me, but if you believe and keep going, you will get there. If you're gonna be in business for the long term, you must change how you think about losses. Every business has expenses, and so you must treat your losses as a business expense. When I'm in business, I don't expect myself to always win. I expect anything to happen. The best business owners learn from their losses so they don't make the same mistakes over and over again. This should be your mindset. Every business owner knows losing is a part of the game, but not all losses are the same. Not every loss is a bad loss. There are also good losses. The difference between a good loss and a bad loss isn't about how much money you lose, it's the context. For example, let's say you decide to test a new sales strategy that one of your mentors has seen be super effective in his market. Then you launch it and it doesn't have nearly as good a results as you hoped for, and you end up losing some money on the marketing campaign. That's an example of a good loss because you made the best decision with the data you had, and now you can learn from this experience and know that strategy isn't for you. But then you start to feel angry and upset, and you don't care about your business strategy anymore, and you start making rash and emotional decisions because you want to make the money back that you've lost. So you make a forced decision on a new strategy and end up losing even more money. That's what I call a bad loss. A good loss is something that didn't go well, but you followed the proper strategy. A bad loss is something that didn't go well because you made a decision out of emotion. Everyone has a bad loss. The key thing is to learn from it. In fact, some bad losses can be some of the most valuable lessons because they are the most painful. Use pain to your advantage. It can be a great teacher. For me, I only started paying attention to bad losses after I lost $100,000 in a day. The pain was so painful, I realized I had to change the way I thought about business. You're always gonna lose in business. That's just the reality. But if you can learn from it and change your behavior, that is a win. In my childhood years from 12 to 16, I was addicted to video games. The second school ended, I would go home and start playing video games as much as I could because to me, that was the only fun thing to do around the house. At the time, I was playing Nintendo 64 and I'd play Banjo-Kazooie, Smash Bros, and Mario Kart. And at the time, the graphics seemed amazing. But when I look back now, I have no idea how I even saw anything. My parents were always kicking me off and restricting how much I could use it because it was the only thing I ever wanted to do. At the time, I hated them for it, but looking back now, I see why they did what they did. Video games at the time was my way of escaping reality because I hated my real life. I was 12 years old, I couldn't drive, I didn't have a lot of friends, and to boot, my parents were super religious, so my father ran a military-style household. Now, the conventional path of success has been programmed into your mind. Go to college, get a high-paying job, retire at 65 so you can finally enjoy life. Now, this should scare you. The truth is you don't need to play the conventional game. You can switch games. And I want to congratulate you because if you're watching this, you don't want to play the conventional game. You don't want to live a mediocre and average life. That's why you need to become good at business. And how you escape the system is by getting access to time, location, and financial freedom. The things are only accessible to the top 1% business owners. Now, video games are fun because you can level up and unlock rewards. View life as a game, view business as a game. When you get better at business, you are leveling up your player. Stack business goals, unlock new levels, and eventually get to the point when you win the game and gain true freedom. View life as a video game and you will enjoy it so much more in real life than a video game. In this modern world that is full of distractions, you need to reclaim your focus if you want to become successful at business. Because whatever you focus on compounded with the time determines the quality of your life. So if you spend most of your time playing video games or watching Netflix, you aren't going to get anywhere in life. But if you spend your time learning business and focusing, you can get ahead of the competition. Now, you may not see the results right now or even in 6 months, but if you keep going for 5 years or 10 years, the results will be tremendous. In business, you don't get paid for working hard. You get paid for making the right decisions. You need to be fully focused. When it's time to focus, focus. Put your phone down and out of the room you're working in. Someone else out there is trying to beat you, and whatever you won't do, they will. I never shared this with anyone before, but one of the reasons I worked so hard is I wanted to fill a void inside me. When I grew up, my father was a teacher and we never had much to go around, and I thought making more money would make me happy. I wanted to be able to buy the things I wanted when I wanted and not have to worry about how much it cost. But once I made more money, my happiness didn't really change. More money equaled more problems. I now have more team members to manage, more people who are depending on me, and I have more responsibilities. I've made $1,000 a month, I've made $100,000 a month, and I've made $1 million a month. But really, one of the happiest moments was hitting 10K in a month. I was even more proud of that than I was when I hit $1 million in a month. I realized when my income changed, my level of happiness didn't really change. And the world has a way of humbling you. Complacency is what leads to failure. Doing 1 month at $10,000 is easy, but doing 12 months in a row at $10,000 is much harder. Every single month is the hard part. The market will humble you and put you back in your place and let you know that you are absolutely fucking nothing. So get back to work. There are some days that I do feel quite lonely. I don't do most of the traditional stuff that you will see others doing. It's not that I don't enjoy these things or that I'm a fucking weirdo. Well, I may be a fucking weirdo, but I'm fully focused on building my businesses. I know what I want in life, and I know most things are just short-term pleasure and not long-term happiness. The things that will bring me true happiness are the things that mean the most to me. Most people don't know except my family, but my girlfriend broke up with me when I started my business because she didn't believe in me. If I had stayed in school, she would have stayed with me. But I cared more about my dreams and my vision than I did about keeping her happy or being the way she wanted me to be. I'm the type of man that chooses his purpose over everything else, and that sometimes means I have to make hard decisions to put my business before other people or things that are asked of me. And sometimes it's a lot, and I have breakdowns because of stress and being alone in this race when nobody can understand me or what I have to go through. I had to go through a lot to get to where I'm at today. I love partying, drinking, and dating beautiful women, but if there's one thing I love more than anything else, it's my purpose. That's why I'm able to sacrifice all these pleasures and vices so I can stay on my mission. If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. But making money alone isn't really fun. That's why business alone doesn't make me happy. It's fun, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't alone give me fulfillment. Life isn't about just making money, it's about providing value to others and helping others change their lives. That's why I started making these videos, because whether they get 10 views or 10,000, I know it will help those individuals in a way I was never able to get help. What is cool to see is as I go out in public and people say they recognize me for my ads and something I did help them in their life. Be willing to sacrifice for your goals, because if you don't, your goals will become the sacrifice. If you want to learn something, read about it. If you want to understand something, write about it. If you want to master something, teach it. The best way to learn is by teaching. If you can't teach it, you don't understand it well enough. That's why you need to simplify all complex concepts into something simple someone can understand. That's how you know you've mastered it. I myself have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars and made every business mistake out there that you can think of. When I first started in business, I was still the underdog and just trying to win. That's why I'm able to relate to the audience, because I know how it feels to start from scratch. I was a guy who came from absolutely nothing and was just trying to make my dreams come true. I was just shooting things off of my iPhone and had a lousy computer. Fast forward to right now, I'm using a $4,000 camera, a $2,000 MacBook, and I spend over 6 figures on rent a year like it's nothing. And it's all because I want to give back a little bit of what I've learned and help you guys. You don't become a master because you're able to retain knowledge. You become a master when you can release it. Most people agree that 80% of business is psychology, but very few have the discipline to think it through. They spend all day trying this and that versus sitting down and actually thinking about their next 5 moves. To master your mind, you need discipline. This is the most important skill you can have, so here are 10 business discipline tips that you can try to live by. Stick to your business plan. Know when to sit back and when to take action. Always keep going. Never do something based off emotion. Accept losing is a part of the game. Focus on quality businesses, not quantity. Decrease screen time to avoid analysis by paralysis. Be a lifelong learner. Learn from your mistakes in the past. Be patient. Life is long. If you want to see how to close anyone, anywhere, click here.